Yes. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about the automatic lights go down every time I try to project on us. Projector. Work on the slide. Okay. 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 I could see coming in, even though I was running a little late, that people are very lively and excited. If you're worried about your project, you want to clear it with me, talk about it before you leave. We can talk about it. I can hold office hours right after class and meet with you out in that lobby area in here and just help you figure out your public if you don't know what your public is and that kind of thing. But hopefully you're getting excited and working on this because it's due Friday. And if you are thinking about doing something that you want to share with the class, whether your public is the class or not, but you want to you're so excited about what you created that you want to share it with us on Thursday, please do. We'll try to make space for everyone who does want to share. Also remember, I'm bringing pizza. So if you want to have a drink with you, please bring your drink. And also if you gluten-free, okay, I probably won't be tending to bring a meat pizza just to be safe for everyone. It's probably, but let me think about this. Okay. How many of you eat cheese pizza? Okay, there are a couple of people that don't. So cheese pizza is pretty safe. I mean, I could get vegetables on it, but then we run the risk of some people eat that vegetable, some people don't. Maybe I'll do, how many of you eat pepperoni? Okay, so there's a pretty good number. If you don't eat cheese, something like that, please email me, like I said, and do it today, okay? Because I'm going to be starting to get my order in with, where am I getting the pizza? What's the place that you all like? My students usually tell me to go to this place. Franco's? Oh yeah, I'm probably going to Franco's. So, because I did that last time and it was by student vote. I also wanted to let you all know that your final reflection assignment is up. It's very short in terms of how it's written, but it's basically an archival document that I want you to create where you write about what the semester has been like. What you put in it is what you want to remember, okay? So when you look back 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, which to look back on this reflection, I know. When you look back on this reflection years from now, there are going to be many things you don't remember about this course. Actually, most of the course you won't remember. Most of the things we talked about will be gone from your memory, but this is your place to preserve what you want. Certain things that happened in class that were memorable to you, certain ideas you encountered that really troubled you, stuck with you, things like that, conversations, just the day that we made posters, whatever it is that you want to remember, you're getting to reflect upon it. The only thing that I said here in terms of your grading is it needs to be 2 full pages long. And also, this is not a place to critique me and my teaching. I've had this happen a few times. I already get that with the evaluations. Oh, speaking of evaluations, please fill out evaluations for this course if you haven't yet. But I already get that there. And want to be able to read your reflection and see you and your experience of this course and not walk away with, you know, having anxiety and depression after reading the reflection. So it's your document, it's for you, and it sort of kind of culminates in sort of like the preservation ideas that we've been talking about. So take a look at that if you haven't. That is due, I think, on Wednesday. I have it due. I sort of picked like a finals day for us. Obviously, for me, that's a good day because I'm trying to get everything wrapped up in terms of my grading. But if you do need an extension on the reflection, please contact me if you're really booked up for finals week and stuff like that, and I will work with you. Okay. Any questions about this? No questions? All right. How many of you already read this? Saw it up there and you read it, just to see how UB Learns is working. One. Oh, wow. Okay. So yeah, I definitely, it's good for me to know these things. So for today, we have a presentation, our last formal presentation, and then we have people who did not get to share your pop culture artifact. So I just want to get a show of hands of people who have a pop culture artifact that haven't shared that are going to share today, just to get a number of you. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, just doing the math in my head. All right, we will be able to do that very easily. But for now, I'm going to invite you up, Lisa, to do your presentation. I'm very excited. If you have Feinberg's chapter, please take it out so that you'll have it with you. Oh, do you want me to go to the link?
That's the thing. If I emailed to you, but like it's
Yeah,
private, so if I can like log in and.
Okay, so yeah, I'll let you. No pressure's on. It's all on the screen for, and I know what that's like. Oh, I know. 2-step verifications. Totally.
No, because we want to them and it's. Well. Sorry. Oh my lord.
They log in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Finally. Okay.
We'll wait until after.
Oh yeah.
To do something.
After
It's like a brief
Let me see if I can adjust the lighting at all. Can I have half lights on? Yeah, that wasn't nice. Okay, I think that's better. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, what are we? Are there
Yeah, we got just like a brief discussion about like the story. Mainly like
Yeah.
yeah. So
I'd say these two are definitely important, and then. Ready? Or is he like get your style?
Yeah.
All right. Sure.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, they are all ready. Please give your attention to our speakers in the front of the room.
All right, so walking our talk, the main focus of the reading was what the goals are of the trans movement. And ways that you can learn how to help trans people, even if you don't know too much about the situation or what they deal with. So just how to learning how to be able to do that.
Well, Leslie Bergenberg, that's how you say her name? Feinberg, thank you. Leslie Feinberg, she's a LGBTQ activist and she's an advocate for poor people. So in this story, in this article, she mainly went into depth about how like the goals for trans movement and how it's very important. Like she went into the history more of the trans movement and how like it's been a big problem and how economic and other political issues also contribute to how LGBTQ people get treated as to this day.
Yeah, how they're discriminated against and how they're like harassed by the police, they're paid lower wages and they're not accepted in society, just discriminated against in a lot of different ways. And things like if there's an economic crisis happening, for example, it's the people of color and the LGBTQ community that tends to get blamed for it. So just a lot of different ways where they're just put in like harm's way too, in a way.
I guess we get started with the questions.
So if you guys want to break into groups, maybe 4 or 5 groups, however the room kind of breaks apart.
It's your last group. It's your last group together.
Do you want to do classic mode or do you want to do like team role? Like team roles, like basically like the teams create a name or like
I think they I feel like it's fun.
And then if you just within your group, if you just want to pick one person who's gonna one person within your group who will like log in and then you guys
also
one person for
so one person like log in.
Yeah, so the code is up, so if you just want to have that, whoever you picked in your group, the one person, go ahead and log in. And then once everyone's up there, we'll go ahead and start. When a question comes up, like
we can explain them more after the pick, please.
What's happening? Here's what's happening. Did you name yourself after another group?
No.
Oh, I was like, 'cause there's.
yeah, I guess.
Oh, team name. Cool, I get it, I see it.
No.
I wasn't looking.
And then whoever's in the group.
Diligent dolphin.
It looks like 6.
All right.
In the room.
It
Oh, wait, what's inappropriate?
the queers.
Oh my, that's interesting that they filter that out.
All right.
Is that everybody?
All right, is everyone up there?
Carrying seal.
Oh, wow.
Oh, is that what that's you? You're the carrying seal?
Yeah, we're the
Aw.
Oh,
Well,
Okay.
What we're trying to present this is.
Yeah.
Is everybody logged in or like, is everybody good?
Everyone's up there? All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Dr. Leslie Fragenberg was an LGBTQ activist. What was her main focus in this reading? The history of trans movement and what we can do to help them. Oh, no, 20.
Oh, no, okay, I thought, never mind.
The lack of political support for the trans community, how many trans people suffer from police harassment, and how many trans leaders are not only fighting for LGBTQ rights and other rights.
I don't think we should make the question. Or the answers, because then by the time we're done reading, the time will be up. All right,
All right,
I'll read the next question.
someone can answer, because someone said lack of political. Well, someone said the lack of political support for the trans community. That is true, that is right. But her main goal was how the history of trans movement and what we can do to help them.
Yeah,
That was like.
Because it's definitely a part of the reading, but then the overall thing that it was about would be the history and how we can help. All right. Next question. What is the example given in the reading on page 134 of how to help a transgender in a difficult situation?
I didn't really think the time. No.
Uh-huh.
I'm so sorry. I tried to give you guys more time for that. That was my bad.
We didn't think about that
But
part,
yeah.
so that's on us.
So two people stepping in, de-escalating the situation so it doesn't go further. That is true, but in page 134, she did mention this offering to walk a trans coworker to the bathroom to help their anxiety was definitely an example. I'm so sorry. I should give you guys more time for that question.
You're not wrong, though.
Yeah. Along with fighting for the rights for the LGBT community, what are some issues trans leaders fought against? What is yellow?
Gouging of taxes.
It's the taxes that's throwing everyone off.
Yeah, it was all of it. So the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, there's 6 on there.
There's 6 questions, yeah. But I added another one, like who was less than first.
Okay, got it. During an economic crisis, wealthy people accept the majority of the responsibility for it. True or false? That was quick. Yes,
Yes,
false.
that's
There you go.
What are some less known factors that contribute to negative treatment of trans people? Yeah. So we kind of made like a trick question because the red, yellow, and green are like answers that that are well known, but the profit-driven economic system is one of the main reasons as to why trans people get negative treatment.
But it's not one you hear, it's a part of it, but it's not one you hear too much about, even though it's a part of it. Who was Leslie Feinberg?
I'm curious. Okay.
Yes, all of those are true. There you go. And, yeah, and so. There you go, Wizard of Moticon. All right, great job. And I think we're all done.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you.
All right. We're staying with the article, so please keep it out. We're staying with the chapter. Okay, let's give this text a little bit more attention here and dig in a little bit to touch upon some of the questions that were asked here. Just I first want to say that Leslie Feinberg used the pronouns thee, them, and here. And so I know it's unfamiliar and it's hard to sort of adopt something that's unfamiliar like that, but they also accepted they, them. And people refer to Leslie Feinberg using they, them today as a sort of, I think in a way of trying to address like changes that happen after your death. And so yeah, it's something that whenever I have students present on Leslie Feinberg that I always sort of start with, because I think people are not sure. But Leslie Feinberg said that they were okay with most pronoun uses being applied to them if it's coming from a place of sincerity. So keep that in mind. So walking our talk, this is a sort of call to action. It reads a little bit like a speech. So I think it's kind of well timed in terms of all that we are preparing to do with our public facing documents. Let's look at the beginning here. I am home working at my computer. I can hear Minnie Bruce's keyboard clicking and clacking nearby as she puts the finishing touches on an epic poem. As I reach the conclusion of this book, I am facing another springtime of travel. It is 1998. So I want us to be thinking about this a little bit in terms of when you read it. I guess I want to ask you, what in that 20 years since this is being written, have you seen the things that Leslie Feinberg is arguing for here be pushed for more? Where are we at in terms of the realization? One of the main cruxes of what is in this chapter in particular is trying to look at the positionality of trans people and where they can come together in bringing liberation movements together. And also Leslie Feinberg identified as a revolutionary socialist and communist. And that is how she wanted to be known upon her death. So that is something I want you to be, keeping in mind too, that was extremely important. I think that this chapter in particular unpacks how that works. So I want you to sort of stay with your groups. I want you to think in, I'm going to give you like two questions that I'd like to just talk to each other about for a minute. One of them is how is Feinberg connecting capitalist critique with the movement for trans liberation? So specifically, where in the text is Feinberg making a capitalist critique, and how is Feinberg relating that critique to trans liberation as a movement and the things that are happening in it? That's the first question I want you to think about together as a group. The second question is, toward the end of this chapter, Feinberg's giving us suggestions for how to be allies, how to do allyship. So part of Feinberg's audience are allies, and that's what this is very much directed toward, allies, at least at the end of this. What are the specific suggestions that Feinberg gives us for how to be good allies, for how to fight for trans liberation? And can you think of examples of seeing those suggestions play out in any aspect of your lives, or in the public sphere, in social media, in other movements that you see happening? Where do you see these suggestions taking place? And where do you want to see them? What can you do? Think as a group about the ways that you can work, things that you can do, tangible things in your lives that you can do to answer the call that Feinberg is making. So just take a few minutes to go and then we'll go around, okay? All right. First question, capitalism and transliberation. How are they being connected? Second question, what about these suggestions? How are they playing out the call to actions? Okay. Now we'll write them on the board. Please try to come up and point to certain parts of the text. Be able to do that.
One thing it says, wherever the question is, it's important. And so there's nothing like what. It's like this is- Again, and then- You can like correlate the capitalist society. How we taught against every single question of capitalism. Yes. It is correct. Yes.
Okay, there we go. Just in case. My questions are always long.
Yeah, they are.
Always
long and like
It's a patent.
Oh,
Right here.
Was it another first week? It's like, no, they're like having like.
Look to the text. If you're sitting there quietly, look to the text.
They're basically yeah. I was taking your entire no, right. Gender.
And education. Capitalism, the whole system of the town should have been. Number two, first best one is talk about what you want. Someone who's committed, and then you would ask. By doing so, you may inspire other children. Yeah. Get that small working class. This is what I'm going to make it when I'm everybody. Okay.
Okay, I added a third question, sorry. It's actually Leslie Feinberg's question. Okay, so it's not original to me. It's right here in the text on page 132. Change, most of us yearn for it. What kind of change do you want? What kind of change is trans liberation fighting for? So I just want to take this 20 years from now. You are the 22 years from now, 24 years from now. Wait a minute, what year is it? It's like 25 years. Because it was like 1998. All right, math. So I want to know what kind of change you want. That's a personal question for you as a group and as individuals to answer. And what are transgender liberation activists fighting for today? If they're the same things, they're the same things. If they're not, they're not. But I want you to think through this a little bit.
And when I like left for school, she was like going to bed. I'm like, how does he like? Wow. Yeah, I want to go to.
Okay, it's kind of quiet, so let's come together and work through some of these. Let's start with the first one. I'm curious, this is like volunteer basis. If your group talked about it and had something that you can contribute, please share that with us. This was a key part of the article. It's not too hard to find. What did you end up finding? Yes.
He talks about how the main goal of capitalism is to create divisions in the majority so that the animosity uproots the possibility of reform. So like everybody focuses on minuscule issues so that the main issue isn't addressed, which is, you know, a lot of people are focusing on trans rights and all the bills that are going through Congress right now, and it's distracting everybody from the actual problems in the country. And we can't really band together when half the country is siding with like a hate ideal.
Yeah, so what do you think a strategy to fight that would be? And this could be for anyone. Okay, so if one of the, and this is not on you, if Feinberg is saying that inner divisions that happen within movements, within people, when they're working for liberation, this inevitably happens in any kind of liberation movement. There are inner divisions, and that sometimes distracts us from achieving the larger goals. So how can we fight? How can we strategize, given that this tendency that inner divisions are going to exist? Yes. Sebastian. Yeah, absolutely. Having more of a platform for things to be talked through and worked through rather than, uh-oh, we're all shutting down at this point. We can't talk about it anymore. A silence is created and then, you know, people are going their own ways and our organizing then is disrupted. Very good. What other ways do you think we can work against having, now there's always going to be divisions, but having these divisions distract us from larger goals? No idea. We're gonna just be divided. Feinberg's critiquing it, but there's nothing we can do about it. Where do you see this happening? Oh yeah, go ahead, Justin.
Like specific example would be like accepting but not understanding, or at least ignoring, like someone using like a label that you don't like or that you don't understand and therefore don't like. Just kind of either accepting that or at the very least ignoring it until just to work together.
Okay, so I mean, the question is here, sometimes though, sitting at the table, when people are feeling like, okay, if a community is suffering a violence and many different violences, and then different kinds of violences, and we're all sitting at a table together, there's gonna be a lot of triggers to trauma and all sorts of things that happen. And there's gonna be a lot of imperfections in the way that things are done because of differences in not being educated on everyone else's issues and experiences and lives. But in some ways, you're saying kind of like a compromising kind of attitude in it, and that like we have to accept that it's never going to be perfect when we come into these situations, and that like we have to be able to sort of like work through that and have an attitude of like, I'm not going to walk away. I'm gonna, which is kind of going along with what Sebastian was saying, which is like, I'm dedicated to being in the space and trying to work through things. Okay. Any other thoughts? All right. Other answers to this. In what ways are critiques of capitalism part of transliberation, necessary to transliberation? Why is Feinberg making this argument of against capitalism as part of a transliberation call to action? Why is it so necessary to critique capitalism in an argument for transliberation? No one knows? Did you do the reading? I hope so. Okay, so let's look at the text and we're going to try to find some answers. Probably not in the end of the text. It's not very long. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, here, I think I found it. Let's go to the bottom of 135 and we'll go on from there. The majority of trans people suffer from police harassment, assault, racism, sexism, high unemployment, low wages, job insecurity, homelessness, lack of health care, and high rents. The problem for trans people isn't just backward attitudes, it's the system. It's an economic system that is profit-driven, valuing only the bottom line, so people's needs always come last. This Robin Hood in reverse system robs the poor to enrich a tiny fraction of the population. Yet that small, wealthy class has learned in a highly refined way that the success to maintaining its rule is to split up the majority, make us point fingers at one another, and focus our anger at each other. Our trans movement is getting stronger because we're fighting, but the progress that we've made is fragile. And then, okay, we can stop there. But in that little section in and of itself, the problems that trans people are facing are being produced by a capitalistic system. That's the core argument that Feinberg is making, that it's not just isolated, reductionist, oh, people just, they're homophobic, they're transphobic, their minds are closed and it's ideological. It's not just ideological, it's actually built in the structure of capitalism. That's the argument that's being made. Okay. So number 2, Leslie Feinberg invites and calls to action allies into the trans liberation movement. What are their suggestions and how have we seen them followed or not followed? And what suggestions do you have? What'd you talk about? What do you think about here? Yeah, Sinai.
Well, suggestions in the text where we talked about like walking or to the bathroom, dispelling anxiety amongst like others, taking a stance in public or even like a personal defending. And then the first thing was asking yourself what you want to do for you when in the situation.
Absolutely. That's the big one. What would you want someone to do for you if you were in that situation? Anyone else want to respond to this as well? Sort of more of a response to the latter half of the question, but that's fine. What did you talk about in your groups? What came up? Just in general. Yeah.
Intersectionality.
Okay. So want to say a little bit more about the question in relation to that? So the suggestions, because Feinberg is arguing for intersectionality here.
Yeah, the one quote that we were talking about was on 136.
Okay.
It says securing, solidifying, making more permanent alliances with others who are hurt by the system. So aligning yourself with people who are hurt by the same system as you would want to expand a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Kayla.
Like to add on to that same idea, after we were talking about like dispelling anxiety and all that, at like the end of that, it says you can face down the loudest bigots knowing that if transphobia goes unchallenged, sexism and anti-lesbian, gay and bi prejudices will intensify too. So the idea that like almost all and like other minority groups will also be negatively impacted if you don't help stand up for others. And on one of the other pages, it kind of connects 1 and 2 in the idea that says history teaches us that when an economic crisis hits, the prospect of scapegoating becomes more intense and more violent. African American, Latino, Asian, Arab peoples, lesbian, gay men, bisexuals, feminists, trans people, and others who have been in the forefront of progress will increasingly find themselves in the crosshairs, and the gain to be made will all be under siege as well. So the idea that like, even though they are separate movements, separate identities, and they face different struggles, the idea that like bringing the separated majority together might like help with everyone else's movement as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Sinai.
I also think, this is just my own thoughts, but I also think kind of working to get rid of like oppression in oppressed groups. Like when I think about, I always tell my mom like it makes no sense when Black people are homophobic because like you should understand how it feels, whatever. So I think to get to that goal of coming together, we first need to hit that first.
Yeah, and the question is like how to hit it, and that's a strategies question. Yes, absolutely. Any other thoughts about this question? All right, let's talk. What kind of change do you want? Do you want to see, experience? Yes.
The first thing I think everyone in this group said was to be safe. I think we all just want to feel safe going places, and then one of the ways we said that we could do that is to like escort people places. Like if you're a woman and you have a trans woman who's your friend, go to the bathroom with them when you need to go to the bathroom. Like just make sure that they feel comfortable and safe in spaces, and create space so that they can feel safe.
Okay, so solidarity, acts of just being present, in order to create, we can't ensure safety, but in order to try to create and work for safety. Absolutely, that goes to the beginning of Feinberg's piece where I think it's the third paragraph. Most days I feel very isolated, marginalized most places I go. Really, the only places in the world where I fit are the spaces that have been liberated by political struggles. That's what makes it possible for me to speak to students and faculty at universities and colleges. And then before that, I spent a lot of time at the gym trying to work off the tension of being stared at, glared at, wherever I go. But I am considered an unwelcome intruder. in either the women's or the men's dressing room in the health club. So yes, Feinberg begins by speaking to pain, ostracism, just and just kind of scratching the surface of what that experience is and what that does to a person. But then finding what I want is what Feinberg is essentially doing in this essay, but also encouraging us to do as ways to find allyship and to work for trans people's liberation and all people's liberation. What other things? What kind of change do you want? You don't want any change in society. It's all good. It's all good. Everything's good for you and everyone else that you know. Yes.
That's not super respectful. Like something just at the bottom. I feel like they shouldn't have to prove themselves at all. I feel like they should be accepted for who they are whatsoever. I feel like they need to justify themselves, but they need to prove they look a certain way. I feel like they just need to be respected in general, all human beings. So,
Yeah. We need to feel safe, respected. Thank you. What else? Yes.
We were talking about having more accessible like gender affirming care.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Having more access to quality care, having an easier time, not having to go through financial and other hurdles to be able to change your name. Absolutely. Yes.
I think having more empathy for others, like I would like to see that, because you shouldn't have to tell a bigot like, oh, what if this was your daughter? What if this was your relative? Like, you shouldn't have to say that for them to feel empathy towards another person.
Right, right. And yet that's a story that so many activists have to keep trying to say is like, I want you to care about me. Why don't you care about me? What do I have to do? And unless you are suddenly going to inhabit my body, why does it take that for you to care about me? But that's the big struggle, is that I think we've looked at all these texts and that's what activists have tried to do. They've tried to elicit empathy, and a kind of question, a lingering question is like, does it work? Has it worked? Is it working? I mean, we're still using that. We still want to create more empathy. So that strategy is still being used, but it assumes that there's sort of that change is slow and that eventually that like the empathy meter is going to work. Like that's going to eventually wash over the consciousness of a humanity or something like that. Yeah.
I think that's actually a critique on just human nature, because a lot of people find it really difficult to care more about someone who they don't know than someone they do know and they already are close to. It feels like if you don't have a connection with someone, it's easier to dehumanize them and to not care at all. But when you create a connection with them, then it's suddenly you want to protect that person.
So one method or strategy that could come from what you're saying is we need more connections. But that also puts risk, like if you're the person that's like, oh, I need you to know me so that you don't just discriminate against me without knowing me, or so that you don't hate me and go and vote on policies that are going to affect me and harm my life. But I've got to go and open myself up to knowing you and sharing with you, which can be dangerous business too. What do you think?
I think the media is a great outlet for that. One of the things I'm doing in my game design class is using a different trans character to tell a personal story, and you play through the video game and you play through hearing about this story and makes people empathize with that character, and then sometimes people be like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah, that's amazing. Very, very cool project. What are transgender liberation activists fighting for today? Anyone want to say anything to that question? It's a little bit rhetorical, but it's also okay to answer it. So this, yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Is it too much to ask? Well, I like empathy, safety, and respect, but is it too much to ask for acceptance? I guess I don't know what that means. Maybe that's the total, I accept you for who you are.
It gets complicated.
Okay.
The idea of acceptance gets complicated, and I'd say in this way, I can only really process these things through personal examples. So say you take my family, for example, on the whole, they now accept me. It's been a 20-year journey, but I can say, oh, they accept me. But does it mean that they're educated and informed on certain things, or that they're sort of transformed? That are they still going to be prone towards seeing me as the mentally ill person in the family because I'm a lesbian? Yeah, they're still going to do that. They accept me, Now, if my definition of accept is to say that they have a radical transformation of their consciousness, and they like, so they accept me, but do they? Like, there's always that question about around the term of acceptance. It's like, if we want to say like, yes, we want acceptance, just like we want safety, what is acceptance then? What does safety look like? What does respect look like? You know, those are things for us to sort of really scope out and define. And I know we're running low on time, so we won't be able to do that. But I appreciate being able to have a little bit more space with this article, and I appreciate your comment. I think I wrote down, because I was trying to think about these strategies and stuff like that. One of the things that Feinberg argues for is acting up and speaking out, which has been a strategy that LGBTQ and other liberation movements have used for decades. I wrote down confrontation, because I think confrontation was a word that Leslie Feinberg used in that article and in that chapter. Peaceful confrontations, being willing to confront situations when they happen. So that means in personal situations, in public situations, but again, we're also navigating safety and all of that too. So there's a lot of questions around it. And then I said visibility. If you're an ally, how can you use visibility to help people that you're trying to be an ally to? Just want to throw that out there. We don't have time to go into it, but okay. All right, we're going to switch gears. We're going to go back to our little pop culture artifact for the rest of the class. And then I was wondering, I know not everyone's here, but I was wondering if we could end class like 5 minutes early and go take a picture together outside. Just like a class picture. I'm sorry for those that aren't here, but enough of you are here. What? Yes. I knew I was going to ask you for a picture, so I got the. Okay. All right. So, who would like to start off with to talk to us about your artifact?
I can go.
Okay. Do you come on up? On. You sent me an email, right? Yeah. Okay.
I could just type in my. Also.
This. So it's not visible anyway.
It's not popping up. I sent it like over.
No, it's in there. It's in there. Hold on, let's just scroll. Just gotta be lower because we're.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. How many of you are willing to be in the picture, by the way? I need to just get it. Everyone? Okay, and we'll find a passerby on the way out and ask them to take our picture. Oh, wait, sorry. Also, to clarify with consent, if you take the picture, you're consenting to have me posting this picture without your name on my social media or in my personal spaces and things like that, okay? So if that's not okay with you, please, you don't have to take the picture. I just like want to clarify. What? Yeah. If you don't want to be, yeah, you can be our picture taker if you don't want to be in the picture, okay? All right, sorry, go ahead, Thomas.
So I'm presenting on Real Housewives, and I don't know if any of you like know that it's a TV show on Bravo, and there's like multiple versions of it. Like there's from different cities, and basically is a reality television show. And I wanted to present on this because I feel like reality television is like a form of escapism for like a lot of people. I mean, art in general, but like I think specifically like reality television because it is like real, in quotes. So I just included a couple slides of some I don't know. So we're gonna.
And you find us hurtful, I find that laughable. Well, let me tell you something, Heather. The only thing that is artificial or fake about me
Yeah, she has a prosthetic leg from an accident that she had. Um. And this is another clip.
Still here, and I'm still there. Fabulous. Going with the wind, fabulous. Thank you. Well, all right then. Oh, my God, gone with the wind, fabulous. I'm sorry, they just moving back. I mean, can we all just sit down and talk about it?
This is a screenshot from one of the shows. It's Nini's Girls and Gays Never Forget All White Party Seafood Soiree. And I think there's one more. Yeah.
That girl Sarah wrote that bow off my tape. No.
I don't want to like play all the clips because I want other people to present, but so basically I just want to include this because there's like a huge subculture within gay culture to kind of watch these shows and then talk about it online. And I think it is like a pioneer in like gay representation because the original show came out in 2008 and the host because at the end they have like a meeting where they like talk about the season and the host was gay. And I don't know, this is like my first kind of like introduction into like gay culture from like a young age because it was very accessible, like it was on TV. I don't know, for me that was it. And I don't know, I think a lot of gay men are like attracted to, I mean gay people in general are attracted to the show because it's like it's very like campy. I don't know, in the way that I think about it, it's like kind of like an over exaggeration of like gender expression and like I don't know, it's just something that I'm attracted to. And then I already mentioned the escapism of like reality television and like I don't know, using it to escape reality. I also think it's very like surreal, like there's elements of like surrealism and like with the clip of the triplets, like that's very like, you know, all of the girls were like dressed in pink and then triplets come out. It's just very like surreal. I don't know. And then I just wanted to include this last pick because I think over the years the audience has changed a lot. I think it used to be more catered to like actual housewives that like would stay home and like watch TV, and it's kind of shifted towards the gay community. And I don't know, I wanted to include this clip because it's something that I would have liked to talk about this semester a little bit, just like the I don't know, I forget the word, but it's like I don't know, white girls copying gay men copying black girls. I think that there's like something there, and I think I would have liked to like learn more about that this semester. like the appropriation of culture.
You should
Yeah.
say gender and sex and pop culture.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
right up.
it might not actually, I don't know if it's relevant to this class, but yeah, that's, I don't
It's
know.
relevant.
Yeah, so. I don't know,
Thank
my
you.
presentation.
Thank you, Thomas. Okay, I'm not gonna talk because I want to make sure we get to everyone. Who would like to go next? You're cutting out. You want to go? Okay, so I. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Okay, so who in this room knows who Frank Ocean is? Right, and Tyler, the Creator. Okay, now who knows about Sid? Right, okay. So Sid is an artist. Oh, that's her. Sid is an artist from Los Angeles, California. She first became famous for joining the group Odd Future, which, you know, Tyler and Frank are in. And now she is the creator and lead vocalist of the band The Internet. She's very gay, she's Black, and she just represents Black gay women everywhere. Okay, so the big part of my presentation is from an interview she did, where she talks about kind of, she didn't want her sexuality to be the forefront of her career, but her brand is, or her label is kind of trying to brand her as, I mean, she's like a gay artist, but she doesn't want it to be like the only thing that she's known for. And she talks about how compared to other members like Tyler and Frank, who are also part of the LGBTQ community, how they're kind of able to base their career around themselves and then their queerness or whatever being like a sub part of that. I don't know if I said that right, but you get what I mean, right? Okay, yeah. So yeah, she started in Odd Future with them, and she also has way less popularity than them, which is kind of interesting because they came up on the same, and she was a big part of Odd Future, produced all the music. They recorded all songs and videos in her basement, and so yeah. And then she is the creator and lead vocalist of the band called The Internet. Great band, by the way, very good. And the key point about this I want to mention is Steve Lacy. I bet you all know who Steve Lacy is. And he's very popular. And when in an interview of The Internet, the interviewer had asked them why they think Steve is the most important member of the band, which is funny because he was the last one to join, and like, no offense to guitarist, but he's just the guitarist and she's the lead vocalist, but she never gets the credit that she deserves for being the pioneer of the band. So yeah. Also, Steve has said a few problematic things. Again, with he won't date Black men because they mind him as his brothers, and just other things that are problematic. Same thing with Tyler and Frank, which I'm going to talk about in the next slide. So even though a lot of people love her, a lot of people, she did receive a lot of backlash, number one, for being associated with Odd Future. If you guys don't know Odd Future, they've done a lot of videos that use a lot of homophobic slurs and degrading things towards women and just a lot of problematic things. She also got backlash for a video where she fed her girlfriend drugs and then left her on the side of the road. And people were like, oh, you don't do that. So that's that part. And she talks about how the hate from the community hurt her because she's gay. And it made her kind of look back and question who she associates herself with and how she represents her art that caters to men, because she was the only woman in both The Internet and Odd Future. Yeah. Okay, so this is the interview and a little bit of what she talked about from the interview. She's talking about a song she made with Kehlani, which I'll talk about in the next slide. But she just talks about how she never wants to put her queerness at the forefront and that people really want her to push her sexuality as like the main thing about her career and make more music where she's very open about her sexuality and kind of, you know, support and be an activist. And she says that she thinks, number one, people can make money off of it. Number two, she
thinks it wouldn't be genuine if she were to completely change her persona into what society thinks a gay artist should look like or how a gay artist should act. That's kind of what she talks about. And the last slide is about the song that she's talking about in the interview is with Kehlani, which is another queer POC artist that I bet everybody knows. And in the song, she talks about being in a relationship with a girl who is kind of hiding their relationship and won't openly talk about the relationship because it's a gay relationship. And so, yeah, she talks about the loneliness of being a Black lesbian and how just in her career on how being a part of the LGBTQ community is a different experience when you're Black and when you're masculine presenting. And so, yeah, that's my presentation.
Thank you. Okay. All right, who else wants to go? Do you have something you sent me?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Start again. Do you ever feel it's okay within? I'm like a house of cards, so caving in. Do you ever feel all even no one seems to hear a thing? Do you know that there's still a chance for you? There's a spark in you. You just gotta ignite a lot of me and live it. Shine. You don't have to feel the wasted space. You're original and not be replaced. If you only knew what into the holes after a hurricane from the rainbow, maybe you're one. The time to go, and it's time to go. Started now.
The important part showed. So basically I chose Firework by Katy Perry because in the one scene, you see the one boy gets up and he kisses the other boy. And the other people, like, they did their little moment. But I just think, I feel like a lot of gay people hear the song and like, kind of associate, I feel like it's very associated with like, gay and like coming out and like being who you are. And like the song went #1, of course. And she sang it at Biden's inauguration, the Super Bowl, and the coronation thing just recently. So I just feel like it's like a big song for like LGBT people. And like she always like embraces that song. She always sings it in like important events. So I don't know. To me, I just feel like this song is very like relevant.
Thank you, Peyton. Thank you for sharing it. How many of you associate this with like queerness, queer culture in some way? A couple people, yeah. Is it played in certain contexts that it's played in like maybe like party context or something like that? So that it might be one use, but you see it, just like Peyton said, at certain political events. It's interesting that the sort of political role that the song has played, and there's probably more to say there, but we're gonna, anyone else want to go? Yes, come on up. Do you need my email or just YouTube or anything like that? Okay. It's right up here. It's not. You know, I can't press it. I don't know.
I really can't right now. That's fine. You understand. I was wrong. You ain't nothing but a lost cause. This ain't nothing like it once was. I know you think it's such an outlaw. You got no job. You ain't nothing but you think it's such an
Yeah, so this video came out during quarantine, I'm pretty sure. And a lot of people accused Billie of queer baiting after she released the video. Before she released the video, she said multiple times in many interviews that she wasn't gay and that she was straight. She's had many more partners. And then right after this video dropped, she said in her caption, "I love girls" or something like that. But she was still like asserting that she was straight. So a lot of the queer community got upset and felt as if she was queer baiting and like sexualizing lesbian and sapphic relationships. And yeah, so I just wanted to share this video because I know a lot of female artists tend to showcase lesbian relationships while asserting that they were straight and in a sexualizing and fetishizing manner. So I don't personally have an opinion about what she did. I don't know if she was queer baiting or maybe she's closeted. That's not my business, but I just wanted to show the video and bring attention.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lauren. It kind of feeds into our conversations about refugee populations and the sort of like lack of trust in certain communities, like when people are, I guess, like it's an interesting parallel, but like when people are trying to fight for their rights as refugees and for shelter and safety, but then having to prove their queerness and that kind of thing. And then the question of like, are you using queerness for whatever you're sort of seeking, whether it's shelter or not? Do you want to tell us a little? Did you want to just tell us about it real quickly, or you want to talk to me after class about it? Okay, there's actually two. It's Julia and you. All right, you want to just tell us about it?
Okay, so I was gonna talk about Fun Home.
What? Say it louder for me.
Fun Home.
Oh, Fun Home. Yes, yeah.
I feel like it's something I saw like it's somebody who's young and I feels like kind of talking about something like this is like, it's like on what was on Broadway and it's maybe got a lot of attention. And it's kind of like a self-discovery, but also I guess just a story that can resonate with a lot of people. So but I was gonna show like the performance, the second performance. But
That's okay. All right, well, we'll give you a clap. Thank you. I know, because I cut you off too, so. And if you want to talk to me after class, you can, but let's go take our picture outside before I grab all your stuff and we'll just go do it right outside the building, out this way.
Really?
Thanks, Evan.
Yeah, it's like.